What's up, friends? Welcome back to the show. Today I had Justin on from Santa Carota Beef. This is the wackiest thing, the most delicious thing. He grass feeds and finishes his cattle on carrots, which results in the most delicious and healthy steaks that I've probably ever had. And I've eaten a lot of steak, and we just chowed down after the show, and I tell you, this was an 11 out of 10. So we get into where Justin came up with this idea, his family history in ranching, what it's been like to go up against, big packers and big food and try to do something pretty radical when it comes to revolutionizing the beef industry. What nutritional differences you can expect to find in carrot finished beef versus conventional grain-fed beef, how he hopes to pass on his ranching wisdom and business to his sons, and so many fun stories from building a ranch business. So let's get into it with Justin from Santa Carota Beef. Yeah, as they say, right?
That's
Justin,
right.
welcome in, my friend. You came prepared. You got the full kit, and you brought us some beautiful looking steaks. I don't know if this is the right word for steak, but I like this word for steak. It looks sexy. That looked like a good, sexy ribeye, my friend. So you've got some of the best looking steak, and you have this crazy idea. When I first heard this, I was like, what? Carrot finished beef. Where'd that idea come from?
So my family, we've been feeding carrots to cows almost 40 years now. In the late 80s, my grandfather tried to buy a stack of hay from Bill Bolthouse Farms. If you've seen like the juice drinks or the salad dressings,
Right.
It was a smaller carrot facility, and they were growing hay with their wastewater. So they'll wash a carrot with the same batch of water for 2-3 days, and then it goes out. And you can grow crops, but they can't be for human consumption on recycled water. And so he tried to buy some hay from him, and Mr. Bolthouse said, well, why don't you grow this for me? And by the way, what can you do with these cool carrots? And we started, bringing in older cows in the back. We didn't come from like a big ranching background or a lot of money or anything. And as the carrot facility grew, we had to go find property that wasn't just the back 40, of the carrot plant. Sometimes we leave the gate open and the cows would be wandering through the, the processor. So then when the baby carrot was invented, it really blew up.
Right.
So we've positioned our ranch 8 and 10 miles from the 2 biggest carrot producers in the world.
Wow.
And so we can get up to, 1 million pounds a day sometimes, which is...
1 million pounds of carrots per day?
Yes. That's
Holy
20
moly.
semi-truckloads.
That's a lot of carrots.
It's a lot. So a lot of the orange carrots, they'll juice. For the carrot juices, they'll make concentrate. Sometimes on like the yellows and the purples, you ever seen the rainbow carrots? They can't really juice those. It just looks black, like changing a diaper kind of thing. So we can get a lot of those, or if there's cadmium or something in it, just a bad run. So we'll take a lot of carrots. But about 10 years ago, we were in a similar drought situation where my dad and I were making bred heifers because we had feed. So bred heifer's a pregnant female, and the government had come out and said, well, we'll give you 3 years before you pay capital gains on any of your herd you have to liquidate. So we were trying to time it when it did rain, guys would have to buy back in. And we did it right for a couple years. We made money one year. The loser was the heifers that didn't get pregnant or if they aborted. And so we like grained a few out, or we'd sell them, at the auction. And they were the losers, but we had heard of people finishing on carrots, like military contracts in the past, or there was a group of guys that tried to do it in a feedlot with some, different cattle, and wasn't what we had. What we had was these huge pastures. We'd come off 4,000 or 5,000 acres down to 1,000, down to 500, into like 20 and then 10, where we could still bring fresh daily carrots. So the cows are out grazing on, native grasses, and then the carrots make the grass last longer. So anyway, we were making these bred heifers, and we'd heard of the finishing, so we tried like 12 of them. And we harvested the first one and ate it on my birthday, April of 2017. And we're like, damn, this is good. You got something. But then what, right? Now you have a story and you have a product, and we essentially bet the farm and rolled with it.
Yeah.
Luckily, I married into like produce marketing. My mother-in-law sells those cotton candy grapes. You ever had one of those?
Okay, yeah, of course.
Yeah, so those guys helped us out a bunch, kind of keeping us like, how do you stay away from the commodity lane and don't get sucked in by the buyers?
All right.
It's okay to lead with good marketing. You don't get a second chance for a first impression.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I did some research on like, where have other small ranches failed when they try to vertically integrate. Well, they all go out and sell their steaks. Well, half the animal's ground beef. And so then you end up with this freezer full of ground beef. Your cash flows down, and it's tough. And so we found a really, really good burger chain and started with like a dry aged burger on their menu.
Smart.
Yeah. And we were able to grow that into be their exclusive, eventually. And meanwhile, like now we have extra steaks. So they call that good problems.
Yeah,
and we knocked on doors and found, a few other distributors and ended up getting plugged into the Wynn in Las Vegas.
Oh, wow.
Into some Wolfgang Puck concepts. But the Wynn came out and did this photo shoot on us. They were out there for like 3 days. And we were in their magazine, and the chefs came out and had this great party on the ranch, and they cooked this huge spread. And over this like old barbecue trailer, it was at Santa Maria.
We
took the axles off and just rocked around it.
That's
and
so cool.
Made it permanent, and away we go. So the gal who wrote our story for the Wynn magazine, she sold our story to Food and Wine. And then, Food and Wine came out and said, this is what Wolfgang Puck takes home to his family. And we really started to gain some traction. And, it's a rough go. I think that it's really hard for a small producer to jump into the big supply chain.
Yeah, right.
And then once you're on the menu, you got to stay on the menu. You can't be like, oh, the cows aren't ready, but you got to keep going. But we finally turned a profit in March of 2020, and then everything shut down. Like break even, like lose, break even, small profit. Okay, now it's a volume game. COVID.
Damn.
And I mean, I'm sure everyone has their own like COVID story of what it just changed their life. But we were able to do some good stuff. I remember we had a barbecue company that still owed us a little money before everything shut down. And my dad's like, I want to take care of the frontline workers. When everyone was so worried about the doctors and the nurses and is this thing real? And so I called all the news stations in Bakersfield, in our town, and they brought vans, and the barbecue company supplied salads and like serving and silverware and packaging equipment. And we got to the ranch that morning, like 3 or 4 in the morning, started making beef ribs and made a big pot of beans. And we served, like we had meals delivered to all the doctors and nurses and the frontline workers, and, tried to do some good with that. But in California, man, they were gnarly. Like they started opening up, and then they shut down again in the fall, and they didn't want anybody hanging out in the holidays. And it was really sad. I remember I would drive around in my pickup with meat, like cases of meat in the back seat, and I would donate a case of meat to each restaurant that was open under protest, because I wanted to take care of the restaurant workers. Right. Those are our salesmen, right? You want the chicken or the steak, and here's why. And so got to take care of them. I remember going into one restaurant, and it was like a neighborhood pizza place, but they had steak sandwiches and stuff. And I knew the family, and she said, Justin, they want us to lay off our employees, and they won't get the last check before Christmas, and they won't get unemployment until after the first of the year. I can't do that.
No.
And so we would just take care of them. But then the ABC, the Alcohol and Beverage Commission, found out, and they were trying to take liquor license away from restaurants that were open. So when people would post on social media like, hey, this place is open, I'd have to tell them, hey, just message me because they're going to get hit.
Yeah.
And it was like this big cat and mouse game of supplying speakeasies with beef. It was
you were like
wild.
the beef dealer running
Yeah, it was
around.
the beef dealer.
Wow.
Oh, man. When the grocery store shelves got cleaned out, my wife was selling ground beef out of the back of a Suburban like it was crack cocaine in Compton, man. Like these moms were like meeting her and like loading it up. We were trading, there was a lot of bartering going on.
It was wild times.
It was wild times. But, we all kind of learned from it. I think it did open a lot of eyes to the supply chain of the beef industry.
Yes.
As things started to shut down and people saw grocery store shelves empty out. I feel like we got a lot more voices for smaller packers, some that aren't the big 4 packers, to see some more independent ones. How do we get state inspected meat across state lines, and kind of cut through a lot of the tape? So there's a few more voices out there for it. And I think that, hey, we're going to make lemonade out of lemons as a country and as a beef producing nation. Yeah.
Well said, my friend. Throughout all of that, you use in this like we language. So I'm assuming this is your team, but it's also part of your familial history too, right? Like you grew up in a ranching family?
I did. So I'm the 3rd generation of it. My grandfather came out to California when he was like 4 during the Dust Bowl. And he lived in a tent with his family until he was 12, and they couldn't feed him. And he essentially had to go leave home, leave the tent. And this old cowboy picked him up and adopted him and took him on. And he learned about horses and how to shoe horses. And they converted this old horse ranch into a cattle ranch. And he became a fireman. And then my dad was a fireman. And then I was me and my brother we used to work on hot shot crews and fight the forest fires. And so that was a way to kind of have an extra income to subsidize us growing the ranch. And it was fun. I mean, we're outdoors, rugged people. Yeah. We chase wild cattle and wildfires too. But the ranching's been in my blood. And I feel like God gave that to us, and it's a gift and a blessing, and we just need to honor it and steward it. And having all these puzzle pieces under our nose to make this amazing, like healthy and delicious meat using a food waste, we can't not pursue this to the ends of the earth, because it's not only in our blood and something God gave us, but I feel like it's also good for the rest of the country.
Yeah.
Like we can get it out. There's enough carrots for us to increase the United States grass-fed output by 10%.
Wow.
That's a fact. So like if you Google it, there's about 230,000 head of grass-fed USDA harvested animals every year.
Okay.
We could do over 23,000.
Wow. That's wild.
It's wild. That's our goal.
Yeah.
Like we want to get it out there, and building the supply chain is very tough. It's like merging on a 80-mile-an-hour freeway on a bicycle, you know, but we're in it, and we have great relationships with not only exporters, but like distributors in 4 corners of the country. We supply the Pittsburgh Steelers with product, the LA Lakers, and
right on.
Yeah, so it's healthy, but it tastes good too.
Yes,
you know?
yes, yeah, and that's it's really interesting. You were kind of saying when we were talking in the kitchen before this, you're your own unique case. It's kind of hard to put you in one of these boxes and call you like a regenerative or just a grass-fed and finished. Like you're doing something completely unique, but unfortunately, one of the potential downfalls of something like, grass-fed and finished meat is sometimes people don't like the flavor of it. Whereas you're being able to do the grass-fed and recycled kind of farming, like using waste products, and also create something that tastes amazing too. So you've got a holy trinity of beef here.
Absolutely. And usually when you tell people something's healthy, they automatically like resonate that
think it's worse, right?
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's healthy, so it can't taste that good.
Yeah.
Well, no, actually this stuff, it's very light. So carrots are 90% water. So if a cow's going to eat 10 pounds of grain, it's got to eat 100 pounds of carrots to get the same 10 pounds of dry matter. And that extra 90% fills that muscle tissue like a water balloon. It stretches it so that muscle's like elastic. So it really kind of breaks it down while they're living and moving. And then you get this pop in your mouth like a berry feel afterwards once you eat it. And we're also a free range concept. I do think there's a lot to do with cows being able to get up and move around and get those vitamins and nutrients from the carrots moving into their muscles. Because I think if they're just standing there, it's not, one, they're standing in, other cows' feces, and it's, they're more susceptible to, disease when they're crowded. Right. And so we're feeding on these big hills. Like we'll launch semi trucks. They'll just drive to the top of the hill with no road and just come bombing down, unloading carrots. Yeah. And that's how we feed them. Yeah. Kamikaze truck drivers,
Yeah, I saw some of the posts on your feed. It's crazy. It's just like these beautiful open pastures, and then just these like truckload dumps of carrots, and the cows are just going down munching. It looks awesome.
So the cows are happy.
Yeah,
and the cows
happy.
Get to be a cow. There's grass available, either grass or grass hay, carrots, and like a salt, because when they eat a lot of the wet moisture, they go through a lot of salt.
Okay.
And it helps retain the moisture.
Yeah.
And then we have a mineral tub. We use a sorghum base, so it's not corn base. We have an auditor, and it keeps us into the grass-fed guidelines, and we try to do things as right and as clean as possible. I know there's a lot of buzz and a lot of opinions, what you should and shouldn't do, the beta carotene, is it good or bad? And I think that the people that have tried our meat, some swear by it. They feel better. We service a lot of people with autoimmune and Crohn's and histamine sensitivity. And so, I think we're doing a lot of good in the world.
Yes.
More than, the buzz of the talking heads.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense. I've got a friend here, shout out to Nate. He's got a smaller ranch, Pontius Ranches, and he's kind of scored a deal with Juice Lands around here. So he goes and picks up a bunch of their fruit waste and he feeds them that. And he did some nutrient analysis recently on some conventional beef versus his. And he just demonstratedly showed like B vitamins are high. There's even like vitamin C in his beef, which is really interesting, right? Because you typically don't think of a meat product of having that. So it's clearly important to think about the quality of the life cycle of the cow, and not just what you eat, but what you eat as eaten. And I think that's really cool. So as you think about it from the health angle, What do you think feeding them carrots does nutritionally, perhaps, to the meat or the fat or the nutrients in the meat?
Well, all the vitamins you're going to get from your carrots, the cows get it.
Yeah.
And so if it's healthy for the cow, it's healthy for us. And the calcium phosphorus, it balances very well nutritionally for them. We do feed a little bit of hay alongside of it because they're ruminant animals, but they love the carrots. If you dry a carrot, it checks out about 9.5 to 10.5 points of protein, the same as corn. But cattle, they need to make energy to grow either a starch or a sugar.
Mm-hmm.
A starch would be a grain or a corn. A sugar would be a natural grass, or like as a carrot, or like Nate with a fruit. That's how they're getting their energy. The sugar side is a little bit slower,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that older cattle actually, we get a lot more minerals from the earth. We get a lot more of time to absorb the nutrients, where corn, I'm not knocking it, but it's a bigger, stronger, faster. How do we get to a high yield that's going to grade choice or higher? That's it. Otherwise, they're costing us money, and it's just a commodity game, you know. But on the feeding them out longer and like this natural sugar diet, it seems to be very well. I feel better when I eat our meat. When we would sell in Vegas, all the B12 in it, I'd be like, oh yeah, there's a hangover burger. For anybody that wants some heavy B vitamins, you don't need the shot. But whatever we're doing is working, and every time we test it, it just keeps coming out better and better.
It's amazing. What do people say about the beef? I've only seen it. It looks incredible. I haven't tasted it yet, but I imagine that must do something to the flavor. It has to, right? Do you taste the sweetness of the carrot a little bit?
You taste a little bit of the sweetness, and it's not as heavy. You don't chew it as much. It's very light. And so it's a very enjoyable eating experience.
Right.
The ground beef, it's not like so fatty it's sticking to the top of your mouth.
Yeah.
You can make a fattier blend with ours and it's still fine. And I think a lot of that fat's good too, because you get a lot more parts of the animal, instead of just like, oh, we're just going to grind up chuck and brisket today. Yeah. And that's it. I think we're supposed to eat more animal, more nose to tail.
More nose to tail.
And so the more we can offer into that blend, the better. Also, and we've won a bunch of awards with the 70-30 blend.
Right.
And, by doing that keeps us out of the having to mix other product with ours. A lot of the corn-fed animals, there's leftover 50-50 trim after they make the 80-20. So that's why we import a lot of lean meats. There's a big buzz right now about Argentina.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah.
I figured you would. I don't think it's as bad as it says. Uruguay imports more than Argentina. They're like 7th on the list.
Okay.
They use about 75% of their own meat. I think that it's a tariff play. There's a big oil reserve called the dead cow, the vaca muerta, down in Argentina. And I think that it's kind of all part of Trump's trade negotiations. He's a New Yorker. He says, hey, we're going to take Argentina meat. And the whole ranching community says, hey, F you, pal. And he says, hey, F you too. And I think that's it. It's really, it's a drop in the bucket. I mean, we make 25 billion pounds of beef in the U.S. And they're talking 137 million pounds. It's a drop in the bucket. It is concerning, though. Like, is this the answer? Is that always our answer if our herd gets too low? So those are some things I think we need to look at as a nation. But the supply chain of it, like we were talking about earlier, is just it's so funky because there's just so few that control the end product to get to the consumer. And so I think, what is it? Tyson and Cargill just had to pay $88 billion for price fixing. So it's crazy. And I think that, and I've talked to some other independent packers, it's not that that's a big deal. It's just, look, you guys have lobbyists. You got a slap on the wrist for over $1 billion of corruption, and the consumer took it. And now the president's coming out and saying ranchers need to make it cheaper. It's a hard pill for ranchers to swallow. Yes. And relatively, I mean, cattle came back. They went down hard yesterday, and then already kind of bounced back. Beginning of January, feeder cattle were 260 and they're 360 now. So it's not that bad. And I think that, honestly, if people can just keep finding their own producers who they want to buy beef from and buy direct and cut out the noise, let the noise be the noise. That's the most important thing, is if you find someone that's trying to make a vertically integrated beef program, which is very hard, support them.
Yeah.
Support them the best you can.
Historically speaking, and maybe now, like the temperature check on it, how hard is it for ranchers? Because I know there was a big lull maybe 10 to 5 years ago where they were losing a lot of ranchers. They were saying maybe 10,000 to 20,000 ranchers a year were kind of dropping out of the game. Is it trending in the right direction now from a supply chain issue? Is it historically a very hard business for people?
It is a very hard business, and I mean, cows got to eat on Christmas too, right? So, but it's something that's a love passion.
Yeah.
And I think that it's with the prices the way they are, it stopped the bleeding, or at least slowed it a little bit as far as the consolidation, where smaller ones were getting gobbled up by bigger ones. Their guys are finally able to pay their bills and, buy a new pickup or pay the old one off and a new tractor. And there was a lot of worry and concern if the market wasn't going to last.
Right.
They've never seen prices like this for their calves. But part of the herd rebuilding, it's tough because guys that have never made this much money, they've had to leverage themselves from when the cattle market's way down. They can sell their heifers instead of holding them to replenish their own herd and get more money. So lowest cattle numbers in like 72 years, highest calf prices. Guys are taking advantage of the market and just selling off a lot of items, a lot of cattle that they might have kept for seed stock.
Interesting. Will that have knock-on effects like down the line?
I think it's starting to turn around. Bred heifers are worth a lot of money,
right?
To where let the free market play.
Right.
The free market's going to come in and say, look, if it costs me, $4,000 to make a bred heifer and I have to sit on a little longer, but it's worth $5,000 in the end, but I was only going to make $500 on selling it off mama.
Right.
I'm going to try this.
Yeah.
And guys are going to start keeping it, or their herd's going to dwindle until it forces them to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a big beef on dairy push right now. And I think they fill like 15-18% of the cattle on feed. And that's where these dairies have gone out and found the best Angus genetics, and they're crossing their dairy cows with them. Holsteins can handle corn a lot better. And so they're just taking them from mom day one, and they go to a calf ranch, and then they grow up and they're in a feedlot, and they are harvested before they're 18 months old.
Oh, interesting.
They're cookie cutters.
Yeah.
Which we can't knock it too much because it is plugging the hole on the demand for beef. It grades prime. It fills the void. But they're seeing a lot of like abscess livers, 50, 60%, because the Angus genetics aren't made to take grain and corn and that hot feed. And we can go into a whole nother discussion about what the grandpa's corn and this corn, probably a little bit different, right?
Right.
And so they are not genetically made over time to handle this much. And so they get abscesses in their livers. That'll affect some skirt steak. Skirt steak prices go higher. And you're leaving liver on the table. I mean, if you lose over 50% of the livers on these things, liver's good for you.
Yes.
Yes. I'm
maybe
sure you
not
guys
one
are
with an
always
abscess.
looking to source liver somewhere,
Right.
So I think it's a temporary plug in the boat, but we're going to have to just rebuild it back. The hard part is, man, everyone's turned onto this beef thing now.
I know. Right.
That, it's like, they did it with the eggs, but it's a faster turnaround. A cow has the same gestation as a human, 9.5 months. 40 weeks. So you get a crop a year. And chickens, they could pump them out a lot faster. What took time to diminish is going to take time to replenish.
Did you ever at any point feel any kind of dip because of a vegan movement or a plant-based movement? Do you feel like that is kind of dead and buried now and beef is back?
They still attack me on social media.
Of course. I don't think they'll ever stop doing that.
They're nasty, man. They are so nasty. No, I mean, they're going to say what they're going to say.
Yeah.
And I know I have a stack of letters on my desk that talks about, with people writing me, hey, you saved my son. He couldn't eat and he's sick and, had this disease, and your meat is good for him and he's putting weight back on, and testimonies of our autoimmune folks. And so they're the reason we keep pushing. We know we have something great. We know we have something healthy. We know we're doing the right thing by pasture raising them, by using a food waste, by not using today's corn.
Yeah. So
the vegans can say what they want. They're missing out.
Yeah. Amen, bro. They're definitely missing out.
Yeah.
More for us, I guess, right?
Yeah, more for us. I mean, the vegans are doing their part to help replenish the cow herd by not eating it.
There you go.
So
we owe you.
Yeah, we owe you. Thank you for sacrificing yourself to the veggie burger god.
Yeah. Talk to me about this corn, because it is really interesting. Is it, has the breeding of it changed? Is it a little bit of that? Is it a lot of, like, we hear about glyphosate all the time being sprayed on crops? What's your take on how that's changing and what it's potentially doing?
So we don't feed corn, and we're not, we don't grow corn. We're not from the Midwest. So I can't really speak a whole lot to it. I know there's a lot of information out there with folks saying this isn't the same. I mean, there is some facts about glyphosate and what it does. But right now, that's the answer to the bigger, stronger, faster cattle. Because in a 7th or 8th generation rancher's mind, if they're still around and they're profitable and they're able to supply beef off the cow, off the grass, they're sustainable. If a feedlot is able to buy those calves and feed them corn, if they implant them, it's more efficient, it's less time on feed. So they used less feed and they were able to turn over the same space. They feel that they're sustainable.
Oh, interesting. Right. So they're just like each fitting the definition.
Yeah, as long as we're around to supply American beef, we're sustainable. That's kind of the mindset of a lot of this.
Right.
The voices are getting louder that want to see a lot of the corn ground go to pasture ground.
Yeah.
Things like what happened this week with Argentina and, the president coming out, that could scare things away for a little bit, but I think everyone just needs to relax and cowboy up, and we've been through worse. The market's not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. What do you make of, like, you obviously have your own system, and I think you've captured a really interesting niche here, and it sounds amazing. What do you think of, like, the other buzz terms like regenerative farming? Do you think that is something that we do need to pay attention to, or can these little farms, can everybody kind of do it their own way, like the free market Wynn kind of thing? Do you think about the health of the soil over time, and is there a real mineral loss and all of those things?
I do. I think the regenerative movement's great.
Yeah.
I love another set of eyes looking at this thing, because so long we've had, like the beef checkoff where you got to pay, for every animal sold, and then the packers use it for, for marketing, but we have to fit in their box. But I think the guys like Joel Salatin coming out and, White Oak Pastures, like they've got a great concept and it works for them. So there's no reason to knock it. I think that it is great for the soil. It's proven, and they can feed more cows on it. So their concept and the feedlot's concept, theirs is a little bit better because they're growing their own feed.
Yeah.
Where the feedlot's purchasing corn from another grower. Some of them, when you get into the big guys, where if grain tanks, they'll buy cattle and they'll finish their own cattle. So, but I think the regenerative movement, it's not going away.
Yeah.
Like they tried to push it down, and there was a lot of buzz with fake meat and Beyond Meat and all this stuff. But the regenerative guys are proven. Yeah. I think it's amazing. I think the small hobby farms are amazing. The years in like the 40s or 50s, it was like, requested or required of the government that you have 2 chickens in your backyard.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And it's like, I think we should all look at that. Because what we saw during COVID scared the hell out of a lot of people.
Yeah, it did.
It may be fast and efficient, but one little thing can bottleneck the whole supply system. And the more people that we can branch out into the regenerative space, it takes away the threat and it takes away the bottleneck.
Yeah, dude. It was, I'd be lying if I said a lot of what happened during COVID wasn't part of my motivation for relocating my family to rural Tennessee. And I was telling you off air, and the listeners know this, I've got like a 15-acre homestead / hobby stead where we've done, currently right now we're sitting on like 60 chickens. We processed like probably 30 to 40 chickens this summer. On Monday, I just took my pigs for the first time that I raised from tiny little things, 6 weeks old. They were like cute little puppies, bacon seeds, all the way up to full slaughter weight, 300 pounds. And I've goats, and it's just like, it's given me so much more appreciation for food, number one, and actually like, knowing where food comes from. But number two, there is a level of, there's a level of comfort in understanding that like you can be food sovereign too. Like not everybody, I get it. You live in an apartment block and all of that stuff, but some of us took that call to action and said like, I want to figure a little bit of this out. And I think it's very important. And I think that's lost. It's a lost art in some ways. Like I had no idea what we were doing when we moved to Tennessee. I was breaking things and things were dying and predators were eating shit. And it was just fix things and break things and fix things and break things. But now those are skills that will be with me for a long time, and who knows what we'll do, but I'll be able to pass that down to my kids. And you do got to wonder, right, where all that information goes, because it's awesome that we're on these ranches and it's in your family line, but as we get more technologically dependent and there's less young people moving into farming and things like that, well, like, where's all the information going to end up one day? Is it just going to like evaporate out and then we're eating Bill Gates' slot burgers forever?
Well, congratulations, by the way.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. I think the homestead movement's growing.
It is. It seems to be.
There's people with chickens in their backyard, and we were out of eggs the other day, and I called my buddy, my neighbor down the street, and the kids took the side by side and brought him 2 or 3 pounds of ground beef and took back a dozen eggs. Yeah. And my wife needed tomatoes, and we did the same thing. And
it's awesome.
I think we're going back to that. And there's been a big conversation about, and we touched on this a little earlier, about rebuilding the cow herd. Mm-hmm. Well, I think the most organic way to do that is more homesteads, because that's less reliance on the grocery store. So for every homestead out there that is 1 or 2 meals a week they took away from the grocery store because they grew it themselves, it's that much more for the rest of the country that don't have access to rural farming or homesteading. So I think that's the most organic way to fight back, and you just doing what you're doing on 15 acres is doing your part to help replenish the cow herd.
Yeah, very cool. Do you get any like pushback? Is there like ranching purists that are like give you any flack for being a carrot finished organization?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, where we're from, hometown, people still don't really grasp it.
Yeah.
There's like a big local feedlot that has their own processor, and they cast a big shadow. And I would rather see them there than one of the big four.
Yeah.
So they're still hometown heroes, but they've got a lot of the meat counters gobbled up, and everyone convinced that they're great. So hometown, I felt like, Jesus preaching his hometown. It's like, oh, that's just Mary and Joe's kid. And you go like a couple miles down the road and there's miracles, we're 4 hours from Vegas, and we go to Vegas and they're rolling out the red carpet at Hell's Kitchen for us.
Right.
The chefs are coming out, signing cookbooks and taking pictures. And so I think in the beginning there was, but social media really is an amazing tool if we use it properly, because so many people get to show the world, whether it's a broken water line, a broken fence, or what their cows look like before they harvest it. So you kind of get to know and feel about who people are and what they're doing. Now, cattle ranchers are probably the last one to the table on social media because they just go do what they do and they don't brag about it.
Yeah.
But we've had to learn to market ourselves. Not just trust an agent to market your cattle, but to market ourselves. So people, I think traceability is huge, and the best thing you can do for being authentic, the best disinfectant is sunshine.
Yeah.
And we just need to keep shining a light on it. So as far as our pushback, a little bit. The big guys don't really, like, we're trying to raise money right now, and everyone just tries, hey, just go align yourself with the big packer. They don't want to touch it.
They don't want it.
They don't even want to touch it, but our phone blows up every day and our email box is full of people wanting to get our beef. So the market's there. It's just, we're kind of on our own right now.
Yeah.
And it's a lonely spot, but we know we're doing it for the right reasons. We're going to keep fighting for it.
Yeah. And if you can keep pushing through, there'll be a breaking point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's always darkest before the dawn.
Yep.
We have one going right now where we're in a lawsuit with a big meat processor. We caught them mixing cheaper product with ours. And we've got to, go through the lawsuit. We throttled a lot of our production back and settle this thing out. And we've got to do it because, they'll do it to the next guy if we don't stand up for it,
Right. That's the hidden side of ranching sometimes. And I'm glad you mentioned social media in a way, because it is providing more of like a behind the scenes view, like a little more transparency, which is awesome. But at the same time, there's always like a romanticized view. People don't know the real nitty gritty of stuff that's going on. And then like you've got shows like Yellowstone, which I loved, by the way, but it paints this, amazing view of ranching. You're just out there playing cowboys all day. And I'm sure there's moments of that where you're like, this is friggin' awesome and it's beautiful. But I'm sure there's some real shit that you've got to go through too as well. What are some things that people might misunderstand about ranching or not know about it?
Well, for us, where we're from, it's we've got the Yellowstone stories too.
Yeah.
We had the cartels show up and try to put greenhouses on one side of the fence, from us on the other side of the fence. And my kids used to go by there on their quads, and I didn't want them seeing something.
Yeah.
And, pot's legal in California, but their grow houses were illegal. They were selling to like the ghetto hood ones. And the sheriff, they're underfunded, and the DA didn't want to mess with it. So we set up a shooting range for the local PD who had their pistol range eminent domain because it was in town. We set them up a long range. SWAT team won, and when the cops showed up and just started banging away on our side of the fence, those guys packed their bags and left.
I think we should probably
left,
leave.
Yeah. We've had train robbers that come. There's a train that goes by the barn, and guys that come out and like when they do shift change, they throw a bunch of stuff off the train, TVs and everything, and we've caught them stealing stuff out there and run them off in a very cowboy way.
Yeah, real cowboy
stuff. Yeah. All the things, but we're still through all the gunfights and fist fights and stuff, which isn't common for everyone.
Right.
I think ranching is very capital intensive, and most guys don't have it. So I think there's always, you live on a budget. Grandpa sewed patches in his jeans, and tractor's broke, and you can't afford to fix it until you sell your calves. But if you sold them now, you'd lose money, and there's always that kind of thing. But we still love it. It's a labor of love. So I think even our worst days, like we come home knowing that we're feeding the nation and that we have one of the best jobs in the world. Yeah,
that's really cool. Do you have any like hopes or desires that your sons will carry the torch? I know you're a dad of 2 sons and a daughter. Do you want to keep it in the family? Do you think they will?
Yeah. I mean, look, you want your kids to go be who God made them, right? Yeah. But I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't be proud of them to take it over.
Yeah.
And they love it. So my oldest, he loves going to the Michelin restaurants and wearing the nice cowboy hat and the sport coat and talking to chefs. And he loves the sales side of it. And he's very smart, and I think he'll do well if he ever wants to sell meat. My middle child, which is my youngest son, he's my outlaw. He's my cowboy.
Yeah.
He'll sleep in the dirt. He'll be on his horse days at a time. He's got his dog and his chaps, and he hangs out with the cowboys.
Right on.
Yeah, so he loves that too. We did move to Texas about a year ago, and so they haven't been able to, get horseback as much and do that kind of stuff. I did end up with a couple acres. I got goats. Do you have goats?
Yeah.
They're funny.
Yeah.
I was never.
What kind of goat?
They're like
Nubians
or
Nigerians.
And I cleaned the horse pins out with my saw, and they grew back. Like Texas has a 9-month growing season. It's like, like, all right, I'm not going to just be out here running a saw all the time.
Yeah.
So I got a handful of goats.
Yep.
And I was like, all right, like we put a rope on their horns, and like I'd pull them out and do a little branding. I let my son rope them, and I wanted to give them some ivermectin because I didn't know what they were eating and parasites and whatnot. And the last goat like jumped out of the trailer, and he escaped in like a neighborhood, like a nice neighborhood.
Oh, no.
Some people have property, some people don't. And oh man, it was a thing. And like all the Facebook moms are tagging it, and this goat's out for like 3 or 4 days. And this just recently happened. And here I am, like the new guy from California and Texas losing a goat.
Yeah.
My pride hurt more than anything. I'm like, dude, I will stay out till 2 a.m. to bring my cows in, and I lost a goat. And so finally, like, someone's like, hey, they have this goat trapped in their yard. I'm like, okay. So I go down there with just my horse trailer, like a big stock trailer. Can't get in the driveway with it, so I park it on the street, and their yard is like 3 acres.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So I'm like, I have the kids' little play rope, and I have this border collie that's seen cows like once, and I got to go rope this goat. Okay. And the neighbors are like, got me on Facebook Live and everything, watching. And I, okay.
Come on, cowboy. Show us what you got.
Show me what you got. And I'm on foot. I didn't bring a horse or anything. So this goat comes by me, and it's fast. So I sick the dog on it, and I go after it on a sprint. The dog's slowing it down. And I'm about to rope it, and the dog just bails off and goes down to the street and jumps in the truck. This goat makes a hard right at this dude's McLaren. And I'm like, oh no, I'm about to smoke the hood of a McLaren with a goat. And it gets right to it and like goes around it, Whew, thank the Lord. So I go around the back of the house, and then this goat comes by me, and I rope it. And luckily I got like a front foot in so it doesn't choke, all the people out with their phones. And this goat goes like fainting goat on me.
Yeah, fainting goat.
And just stacks it up in this lady's tomato garden. It goes rolling through this. I'm like, oh no. So we dragged the goat down in the trailer. I mean, it was like a whole thing. Dude. Like, welcome to Texas. But everyone was super nice about it. They got out again the other day, and I had a pond where the water level had dropped and the back fence, was submerged a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, there was a hole under it once the water dropped. So 5 goats get out, and we just went and kind of the neighbors had cornered them, and we just roped five goats, drug them in the trailer, and I always come back and I bring the neighbors like a little goodie bag of beef. Like, here's 5 pounds of ground beef. Here's a little about our company. Thank you so much. Sorry about your lawn or whatever, Hey,
they're probably, if I get 5 pounds of ground beef every time, you can let these goats keep
Yeah,
running
they
through
bring them
here.
in.
They're
Yeah.
happy.
So, and we've made some great friends with it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a great icebreaker. You'll see who's your people and who's not really quickly, But our goats, escape artists, is exactly what they are. I've got some very funny videos. I'll show you when we wrap this up. But the goats on the roof of my house, 3 of them, like full on fighting. So they escaped and then they climbed up the back deck, climbed up all the steps, jumped on the roof of the house, and they're running around full speed on the roof of my house, just butting each other. And I'm like,
on Dasher, on Dancer, on Comet. Yeah.
The only way to get them back was with food. It was hilarious. But I'm sure you've got so many funny stories. Like just this Monday when I had to take my pigs to the processor, I'd been, warming them up to get it in the trailer for a few days. So, 3 days out, I start feeding them in the trailer, and they go in there, no problem. I've built this nice little trailer, and I've got a ramp for them. It's all gravy. They're in there, no dramas every day, feed them twice a day. So on the last day, I feed them at breakfast time, and I close the gate, and I loop the gate, and I hit the latch, and I'm about getting ready to pull out. And the one pig just turns around and it looks at the gate and it walks right up to it and it gets its nose right down low and it just goes whoop and just throws it off its hinges and escapes. And then it just jumps out of the trailer. And my wife's there and she's panicking. You're going to be late. And now this pig is smart, right? It won't go back in the trailer because it's like, nah, you trapped me once. I'm not getting back in there. So I'm trying to hold one pig in the trailer, trying to get the other pig back. And what ensued was like 30 minutes of me like an idiot trying to like move this pig back to the trailer. It wasn't having any of it, And eventually how we got it in was with marshmallows. Yeah. So it followed a trail of marshmallows. My wife was putting a marshmallow down. It would walk like a couple of feet, eat the marshmallow, then the next one, then the next one. But over like the course of 20 minutes, we got it in there with some marshmallows. But it was hilarious. I wish I was like, it'd be very funny if someone was filming this right now because this is so comical.
I've had to, I hate to admit this on a podcast, but those darn goats. And I know I'm a rancher and all that, but I put them in this back pen to start cleaning brush out. And I was like, okay, I have, 5 or 6 more horse pens that I'll just go back, we'll rope them and drag them around. Well, there's this like beehive that you have to go through. And if they beat you around the corner, these bees will come after you. So you get like one shot, and I'm trying to get them into the barn and I'm moving panels. Yeah. It's a whole thing, And I look back and I laugh at myself. I'm like, man, I never learned anything about goats, and you just have to like put a little hay out, be smart about it, close the gate behind them and just move them one pin at a time.
Yeah. They'll keep you on your toes, man. They'll keep you young. The kids do it and the goats do it.
Oh, man. The kids love the goats, though.
Yeah,
like,
they do.
Every time I'm like, I'm over these things. Like, the kids will go out and play with them and catch one. And, this is cool, yeah.
Talk to me about your story, man, especially, like, as it pertains to health and stuff, because I don't know whether you were on a health journey when you had this idea about carrot finishing beef, but since then, obviously, you've got a lot of attention from more of a health-centric crowd. Has it forced you to like reevaluate the way that you live and eat and things like that?
I think the more you're around it, the more it's just kind of like, oh, I don't drink sodas.
Yeah.
Fast food bread, it hurts my stomach. So I used to just pop Zantac all the time. Well, it was something I was eating. I think seed oils have a lot to do with it. I think a loaf of bread that doesn't go stale in 2 weeks or moldy. And just being around the culture of it, we do some like those carnivore retreats or carnivore stuff. We'll go to Meat Stock. We went to this one in Wyoming, this rendezvous. And you start hearing these testimonies of people that got really sick. And you're like, man, okay, I think I'm onto something. But the more you hear these stories and testimonies, the less of a pasta serving you're going to give yourself and the more of a protein. Yeah. So you go from a steak salad to like steak and a little bit of salad. And I think that just being aware of it has helped me a bunch. We were talking about earlier, I jumped into CrossFit when I moved out here and didn't think I was going to love it. Fell absolutely in love with CrossFit. And man, anytime I want to go beat somebody up, I can go beat myself up.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's good and it's great camaraderie. I joined right before Murph, so I didn't do the Murph, but I brought a flat top and I cooked for everyone.
Oh, right.
And so now like my goal is next year I'm gonna do the whole challenge and knock it out. But yeah, being in and around it, and the people are great.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
what it is, it's people that want to better themselves. Like, what great people can you be around is those that say, I want to better myself, and I'm not going to point the finger at anybody but the one in the mirror, and I'm going to take personal accountability for it.
That's it, man.
And I think being around those kind of health conscious people are great. Whether they're working on themselves spiritually, like, I'm all about it. I'll talk scripture with you. If you want to, be around, talk about nutrition, we can do that too. But if everyone's trying to better themselves, the world ends up being a better place. And my goal in life is to leave this world a better place than I found it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a win for everyone, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I say this all the time. I think the only thing we can really do for the world is work on ourselves. It's really the only thing we've got, and if we are working on ourselves positively, we can have so much more impact in what it is that we do, and even not necessarily in what we do, just who we be. Like as a man, as a father, as a husband, all of that stuff too is also working on yourself. And it's the one thing that you do have always full control over, whether Trump's saying this or these tariffs are doing this, or it's too much rain or it's not enough rain, or the cattle have got parasites. It's like all of those external events are very hard if you give too much power to them. They'll control you, or you can just point the finger back at yourself and say, like, what am I in control of? Let me take sovereignty and ownership of that and get busy living, Yeah,
get busy living or get busy dying.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And then, so my daughter, all my kids were premature. And we, part of our move out here was, we were behind on the vaccine stuff because my wife's like, look, they're not due for another 6-8 weeks. Why are you giving them the same vaccines as kids that are being born due date? Yeah. Then the mom rabbit hole of vaccines happened.
Pandora's box was opened.
Oh my gosh. And, we weren't going to just stick them with 42 different vaccines at one time so they can go to school. And then my daughter, she has cerebral palsy, and we caught it, noticed something really early. And we were getting some amazing physical therapy down in Los Angeles. And then COVID shut it down. My wife was like beside herself. We're out tens of thousands of dollars. She's never going to walk. So I rented a house in our neighborhood, and before the end of March in 2020, I had one of the therapists move in, and she was still working from like Zoom for her company. But she moved into our neighborhood and spent the entire summer with us, and my daughter got hands-on training. When she went back, she hated it and quit, and we sold a piece of property and founded a pediatric therapy center for kids with special needs. Wow. And the first year we were open, 10 kids that never talked, 10 kids that never walked. We just saw miracles. And my wife, she was working the front desk, on her own accord, and hated it. She was collecting money from these special needs moms, and it's not cheap. No. And because they're like 3-week intensive programs. It's like boot camp, but you get results. And so since we've started a foundation, and we get to bless kids from all over the country and even the world with travel and lodging and physical therapy, where not only do the kids see results and gain confidence, but the parents get hope.
Oh, and my God, yeah.
It's great. I remember when we first did this Christmas giveaway, we had enough money to sponsor like 4 families, and we got 600 applications. Oof. That will jerk your heart out of your chest when you read these letters like pleading to help your kid. And now we're up to like 20 a year. Right, so it's growing, and we're helping. And, like that's God's purpose for us. It's one of those, leave the world a better place than you found it. Yeah. And if I can do that with nutrition, and if we can do that helping special needs kids, then that's our mission and that's our purpose. And we're just spend the rest of our days, or until this mission's over, dying trying,
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. It doesn't get much better than that. That's really how you leave your mark on the world,
Absolutely.
And that leaves its mark on you.
Yes. Yeah. And your kids get to see you fighting for something good, and not just, coming home and watching sports and just living your normal life. Yeah. It's like, what are you doing here? Like, I have this thing that's like, all right, God, what's your purpose for me? And then I'm going to chase that to the ends of the earth. Mm-hmm. And then once you find yourself helping people, and then helping grateful people, it's just fuel to the fire. Yeah. You're fueling it. I think right now, just spreading the message about nutrition, and that our beef is out there, and hopefully we inspire someone, one of the listeners, to like just take that extra step, whether it's a health journey for you to eat healthy just one day, or do something helpful for someone in need. I think that we can inspire others to be their best as well.
Yes. And we need a purpose. I think all of us need a purpose. I think it's something particularly about men that really need a purpose though. And if they don't have it, it's very disorienting for them. We feel lost. You know, I heard a male psychologist once called Adam Lane Smith say, if you give a man a purpose, he will crawl over broken glass with a smile to make it happen. And that's all he needs. He just needs that mission, you know, he needs that why. And man, he'll go to the ends of the earth to fulfill it, you know. And I worry, I do think a lot of people are lacking that right now. I don't know exactly what's causing it, whether it's just like a loss in the culture wars. They spend too much time disconnected from nature, chronically online. They're working a job they don't value, and they just lose it. But the beauty of the health piece for me is that you can really find purpose just starting there. If you don't know what else to do right now, just focus on becoming the healthiest version of yourself. And I think it will open doors, and I think it will help you find the next little breadcrumb that could turn into a career one day. Or your purpose might just be, again, to be the best father that you could be. It doesn't necessarily have to be monetized, but we do need to find that thing that basically what's worth dying for you. You know, that's how you find your purpose.
Yeah. I think spiritual and sweat.
Yeah.
You can get rid of depression with that.
Yeah.
You know, whether you pray or meditate, and then sweat and get outside. I think that, you know, we talk about, we just said sunlight is a great disinfectant as an analogy, but it's a real one too.
Mm-hmm.
Even for you, you know, if you're sick, you can lay in the sun and go get some vitamin D.
Yeah.
And that's prescribed in some countries.
I know.
Now it's like go inside and shut the blinds, not go outside and like sweat this thing out and get after it. And so I think there's a lot of good coming from, you know, maybe call it doom scrolling, where people are seeing a lot more information out there.
Yeah.
Hey, I healed myself with this. But there's a lot of bad information, and there's a lot of, I think the highlight reels, people can get down on themselves.
Oh, yeah.
But fitness can actually give you a lot of confidence too.
Oh, so much
confidence. Nutrition can give you a lot of confidence. You feel great. You will feel different. And I'm not trying to knock the corn-fed guys, but you will feel different eating our beef versus a corn-fed beef.
Yeah, no doubt.
And, you know, I don't know if it's because, well, I do know the carrots, the vitamins, the cow's getting to be a cow, and there's just a happier life for them.
Yeah.
You know, and we try to honor that. We try to use as much of the animal as we can and try to feed them as long as we can and give them the absolute best, let them yield more. You know, don't harvest them too light, you know, make sure they're going to be as big as possible. It's going to take more of their life, but that brings more nutrition to the world, and we honor their sacrifice for it. I mean, God bless what you guys are doing with using a lot of offal, which is, you know, nose to tail and organ meats, because that not only honors the animal's life, but you get to bring nutrition to people at the same time. So that sacrifice of that animal was just increased and pulled away from being in vain, because we use so much of it. None of it went to waste.
Nothing wasted, right?
And I think that is, the more we go down that road, the more profitable the entire beef industry will be, and the healthier our nation will be.
Right. Win-win. Win-win
it's a
for everyone.
win-win for everyone.
Yes. Amen. What is, have you been organ pill? Do you include either the supplements or the...
I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I'm horrible about supplements.
Okay.
I just like water and sweat,
right,
you know? Right. I'm getting older though, so I'm starting to be like,
you gotta
asking
get
guys like, hey, dude, do you take creatine, you know, on leg day, you know, or hey, do you, collagen? I love bone broth. I'm like and we do like the Mexican style, like we'll make like a pozole, you know, and but I love a good bone broth base, but I have not been like the organ pilled yet.
All right, we got to get you in there, man. That's I mean, I'm sure you have a lot of access to organs.
I do, but you know, it's bulk, frozen, of course, cut up a liver. I love the pill concept form of it.
Yes.
You know, you just pop it, you go, and your recovery's better. I just never have. But I eat Santa Carota beef all the time too. Yes. So I'm like pumping myself. And like that ground beef we're talking about, there's a lot of, you know, what they would call edible fat or different. A lot of connective tissue. Yes, a lot of that. And we'll just throw it all in and make sure we get some of that. We were grinding up a lot of inside skirts for a while. We have a cool fajita meat line that uses it now, but some of that tissue that you were talking about, people, hey, you know, this is in there. I'm like, well, you're getting skirt stayed in your burger, and that tissue is actually really good for you. Did it bother you? No, I just saw it. Well, that's good. You know, you're getting parts of the animal that aren't just, you know, a bunch of 50-50 fat from a corn fed and some imported something with kangaroo crap on it and blending it. You know, this is the real. We take the same concept as if you were going to harvest one animal, you know, at your local butcher shop, and do it in 35 to 40 animals at a time, one semi truckload. So same concept, and that's how I learned the parts of the animal and how to pack cattle. And I'm probably a pain in the ass for the big packer that does it, but this is how I ride it out, just like the salty old butcher that taught me. And a lot of it ends up in the grind, but we don't want to waste any part of that animal because all of it is good for us.
Yeah, amen. The ground beef thing is like our unsung hero, because everybody's gonna love a ribeye or a steak or your choice cut, whatever it is. But ground beef is like so utilitarian. It's got a lot of connective tissue in it. It's even easy, as different companies now are making what they call like primal blends or ancestral blends, where they'll just take, you know, a couple ounces of liver and heart and they'll put it in the ground beef so you can sneak it in that way. Because that is the one problem, and partly the reason why we exist in pill form is liver's not the tastiest thing in the world. I know some people love it, and props to you guys, but a lot of people, it's very strong taste, very strong smell and flavor, so it's much easier if we can desiccate and put it in a pill. But you can hide it in ground beef as well. So I'm a huge fan of ground beef. I don't know, man. My family probably goes through 7 pounds of ground beef a week in our household. It's crazy. It's so versatile.
Us too. And the kids love it.
Yeah,
and
so
it's
good.
so versatile. My daughter... So her physical therapy, I mean, her legs, every day is leg day for her. A lot of squats. You know, she did a W sit and we're working out of it. We're working on her, you know, crutches, and she's got to do a lot of squats. Yeah. And she will eat like a bowl of ground beef and rice. Yeah. I just put it right next to each other, and she will eat half a pound of it. And this little tiny 7-year-old, but her body's craving it. Yeah. And the fattier blend, her body's craving fat. Yeah. Fats are good. Fats are fuel. A good, healthy fat, man, you're going to feel amazing afterwards. Why do you think people want something greasy when they're hungover? Your body is craving a fat. It needs it. And so, man, the ground beef, that's a winner. And and it'll end up going in like the kid food, whether it's like a, you know, spaghetti or whatever, but it's so versatile. And I think we're doing ourselves a disservice by not introducing it at a very, very young age to kids.
Yeah. Nature doesn't make bad fats. Factories do. You know, like it's crazy to me that we got so inundated with the low fat messaging through the 50s and 60s, and still we're in a hangover for that. You know, keep your saturated fat down, cholesterol's bad, saturated fat clogs your arteries. Meanwhile, everybody's happy to be guzzling seed oils and canola, and the American Heart Association comes in with the seal of approval, stamped it heart healthy. Meanwhile, like, you know, people are going to be told to eat margarine over butter. It's just crazy, because it's one of those things, again, that just shows us how lost we've got from the way of things and the natural order of things, that, you know, just everybody listening to this show kind of gets it. But nature makes good fats. Factories are the ones that we have to watch for.
We had to uneducate ourselves when we first started.
Right.
We're like, oh, well, are we low on saturated fats? Well, no, we just tested on some. Oh, but there's different kinds. And how are we fatty if there's carrots in it? Look, we're feeding carrots to cows, and this is as healthy as we can make it here, you know? And we quit worrying about it. Like, we've done some omega tests, and we put it out there, and it's a healthy product. Yeah. Re-educating or uneducating the people. We did the Pledge of Allegiance and the food pyramid like in the same 30 minutes when I was a kid. That thing should have been upside down. I mean, and now Rolaids and Zantac, everyone's popping those. People that I know had heartburn that grew up with that too. They got kidney stones, but they've been eating this calcium Rolaids their whole life. But they eat bread for breakfast. Yeah. No one ever said like, oh, well, your leftover steak if you save 3 or 4 bites of steak from the night before and you throw them in a skillet with your eggs, voila, you are not gonna have heartburn. But if you keep eating this like white bread, Wonder Bread or whatever, you're gonna have heartburn. But no, it's just take a pill. Yeah. Take a pill. We're getting better. I do think that we're getting better. I think that there is a huge organic pushback in education from carnivore to keto. Look how many people know what ketosis is now. You know, now they have like supplements and drinks that like can put your body into that. Yeah. We've come a long way from like, oh, eggs are cholesterol, they're bad. Yes. And steak's bad. Yeah. And Oprah telling that, oh, hamburger's bad. No, the fries and the soda are bad. Exactly. You know, like, come on. Yeah. So I have hope.
Yeah, me too.
I have a lot of hope. I mean, I'm sitting here with you right now, and we both come from way different walks of life and journey, but we have found ourselves on the same path as bringing value to an entire animal and bringing nutrition to our people. Yeah. So well I think there's more of us out there. I know there's a lot more of us out there.
Where can people go if they want to connect more with the hand that feeds them? I saw a cool post on your Instagram. It was pretty recent. It was like the top 5 most visited ranches in the US, and you'd made the list. I think you were either number 4 or 5.
So that was through Beef Initiative. Those guys reached out to us, and they're gung-ho.
Yeah.
They are really wanting to help get the voice of smaller producers out there. And they were great. You can go to our website, santacarota.com, SantaCarota.com. And you can order right off our website. If you want to order the meat, you can see some more, pictures of the cows eating carrots, what our family's doing. And then our social media, we've got a great Instagram presence. Yeah. Our gal Amy does a great job. She really does a good job of telling the story of the American West, and ours is so full of just life and stories and everything that it's taken to get here. And I'm sure, in different ways, a lot of the guys trying to vertically integrate are going through the same thing as well. We just jumped on X, so that's kind of slow. We're figuring out how to do, it's a whole different thing on there. There's a lot of opinions, some people are really great at it. I don't have 20 things a day to say to anyone. Or I'm in like meetings with investors or attorneys or something. And so I can't really talk about my day a whole lot. I did do a video the other day. It was just on my heart and about this Beyond Meat and the crash, and people were, there's a lot of ranchers cheering for it. And to me, it broke my heart that it was just such a waste of capital.
Right.
144 million. For a third of that, we could have increased the U.S. grass-fed output by 10%.
Oh, wow.
That was a waste of human capital, of money, of everything. And for what do they have to show for it, you know? And for us, we would be using a food waste. And 85% of our grass-fed meat comes from another country. I think we should focus on that. There was Secretary Brooke Rollins just put out a program for ranchers yesterday. We're kind of digging through it, trying to figure out what's in there, what's not. I know they're going to open up another 5 million acres. They're talking about it anyway, of public lands to graze. It's a start. Coming from a wildfire background, the more you can graze and the more we can manage those lands, the better, instead of just trying to make a monument and torching them off, because they're going to burn. If you don't log it or graze it, they're going to burn. I think that we just need to keep in mind that we are the stewards of this land, and, God told us to go take care of it. I don't think solar farms and Bill Gates models are the answer for this. I think that our American ingenuity and entrepreneurial spirit of you learning how to fix a fence and plumb a water trough and all those things, that there's a lot of old knowledge out there that we need to soak up from the previous generation. And then we need to take what we know from this world and what's happened to us in the last 20 years and reapply it, reinvent it, reinvest it, and say, how can we do this better? Because I don't ever want to get in a position where we let good enough be good enough. I think we should always keep raising the bar.
Yeah, very well said, man. I appreciate having conversations like this because I love talking to people that are actually doing the thing. It's easy to pontificate about what we should do and what systems, and it all should be regenerative. I'm like, have you ever put your hands in the dirt? It's like really cool to just talk to people that are doing it and trying to make a difference. And you can tell with your passion, and I'm excited to watch you make carrot beef mainstream, and like just full send.
Heck yeah. Thank you very much. No, we really don't try to come at all these situations with like a fast opinion. There's plenty of people that can do that. We haven't seen this Argentina deal from the president. We haven't seen, what else is out there. And quite frankly, if it doesn't work for us, then who cares? We're going to keep going in our direction, whether that's what the mainstream beef is doing or not. I told you earlier, we don't fit in a box. We're just on our own mission. And man, we're in like a tough spot with this lawsuit and it got us for a lot of money and then back out trying to raise it in the cattle market. And some days, you just want to throw in the hat but you can't. You just won't, because you didn't come this far to quit, And I think it's always the darkest before the dawn. And look, we're cowboys. Like, we ride this thing to the end of the earth. And we bring our cows home. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to take this company as far as we possibly can and continue to get amazing, nutritious beef out there to people.
Yeehaw. Go support, fam. Where can they go? Santa Carota is your social handles?
So our Instagram is at Santa Carota Beef. I believe our X handle is that as well, or at Santa Carota. And then santacarota.com is our website, and you can order directly off of there.
Beautiful. Thank you, Justin.
Hey,
Appreciate
thank you so
coming
much. I
out.
appreciate it.
Let's go, friends. Shake the hand that feeds you. We'll see you next week. Peace. All right, friends, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Radical Health Radio. We got a fresh new podcast for you every Wednesday. If you enjoyed the show, consider liking, subscribing, reviewing, and rating us on your podcast platform. It helps to spread this message of radical health. We'll see you next week.